Thank you so much for joining Conversations with Cohen. I'm your host, Gregg Cohen, Office Leasing Specialist at GreggC, and this podcast is for office tenants to help educate them about all things regarding their office space, from leasing to architecture and everything in between. Whether you're an entrepreneur thinking about your first office or a director of real estate managing a large real estate portfolio, this podcast is for you. I've got an exciting show for you today. My guest is Jen Meilan of 71 Visuals. We're going to be talking about the office post-COVID and what you can do to create a safe and welcoming environment for your team to encourage them back to the workplace. By the way, if you want to reach me, I'm at Gregg Cohen NYC on Instagram. And if you're new to this video series or podcast, hit the subscribe button below so you don't miss any future episodes. Today, I'm very excited to be joined by Jen Meilan. If you don't know Jen, she's a principal of 71 Visuals. It's a family-owned, 50-year-old business with production facilities on Long Island and offices in New York City. The business focuses on visual branding. She's been in the industry for more than a decade. Her career started working with horses, then moved to hockey, before entering the visual branding space at NCG Visuals, where she was a client of 71 Visuals, and about 5 years ago moved over to start with 71 Visuals. Jen, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, Gregg. Happy to be here.
I'm really excited to have you on because re-entry to the workplace is such a hot topic, and because of the work that you folks are doing at 71 Visuals to really help fight against the coronavirus. So before we get started with anything work and office related, I'd really love for you to share the story of what 71 Visuals is doing on your part.
So a few weeks ago now, when we first had to shut down and things got more serious and Cuomo was taking the steps to really close everyone. For us, obviously our city office that's service and sales can work from home, right? We can support that, they can continue to do their job. But on the manufacturing side, they can't, guys who are working in the shop in the back and making things are not working from home. So if we have to shut down, those people lose their jobs, if we have to furlough them and get rid of them. So initially we just started thinking, is there a way for us to stay open and keep everybody employed and not have to, lose anyone or put anybody through that? And we started to think, what can we make? And then at this almost simultaneously, Cuomo called on a lot of small businesses to help out with the shortage that was happening and to get creative. So we started to think, what can we do with the machinery and the labor we have that will work? So over a weekend, I think that happened Friday, Cuomo took it from that 50 to 25 during the week to a full shutdown. Made that call. Over the weekend, my partners and I looked, Brian did some digging and found on Johns Hopkins Medical kind of a formula, if you will, or a build out for a face shield. And looking at the materials, we were like, we could do this all in-house. It's everything, we're used to working, use the machinery we have. That Monday, we came in with a small group, started just testing it to see if it was going to work the way we wanted to. By Tuesday, we had the team back, started making them. At the beginning, it's like pivoting the whole team to do something we don't normally make, like that kind of widget. Everything we make is usually customized and every job is different. So we had an assembly line going, and I remember at first when we were able to do 1,000 in the day, it felt like such a victory because it was like, we made 1,000 today. Now we're making almost 10,000 a day.
Wow.
So those strides have been huge. It's been great. And honestly, what started out as, something to help our team really turned into a broader effort. We had hospitals coming to us to purchase and organizations, but we also had a lot of individual nurses and doctors reaching out saying for whatever reason, they weren't getting the PPE to come down to them. So even if their hospital was saying they have it, their floor wasn't getting it, their team. So we started doing a donation drive separately where they could come to the shop and pick up donated shields for themselves. So it was a great way to give back to really the people on the front lines. And, we had nurses crying out of gratitude that they were getting them. So it was really a very powerful situation. And it really was nice to feel like you're helping people. I mean, we all work and obviously we help our clients and we do things, but our day to day is not helping save lives. And so it was a really amazing experience to feel like you were really giving back to the community.
Congratulations. That sounds like quite an accomplishment. And And so you talk about donations. Is there still some ability for people who may be listening or watching to donate to those efforts?
We haven't done a curbside pickup as of late. It definitely luckily has quieted down even on the requests. They can still reach out if they have one. We are working with some foundations who are still facilitating donations through us. So definitely they still can, because we're putting them in touch with the foundation.
We'll be sure to put those in the show notes to be able to have people if they want to participate. So who are some of the hospitals, I know your production is out on Long Island, right?
Primarily it was this area. So we did like Stony Brook Hospital, Nassau University Medical Center. We did some work with Northwell and like Cohen Children's Hospital, Mount Sinai, Jacobi Medical Center, Elmhurst Hospital, Cornell, New York Presbyterian Cornell on the Upper East Side. So kind of.
And for context, so is one shield used per day?
So technically they're supposed to be used per patient. Like in a perfect scenario, you're not supposed to repeat any of this equipment, because if I'm treating you and something happens where I get, whatever that is from your patient onto that shield or onto that mask, it's supposed to be thrown out and then I go to my next patient. I think due to shortages, they were using these multiple days, never mind on multiple patients. So, it wasn't keeping them safe. It wasn't keeping the patients safe. So that when we were able to get them in their hands, even if there was still a shortage, maybe they used it for a day.
Right.
Or with a few patients, they were able to throw it out versus a week, or days.
Right.
Without, which sometimes they were doing too.
Well, thank you for contributing.
Oh,
thanks for the team at 71 Visuals. It's amazing.
Really, when we used to, people would drive up and get the boxes, because we did it as like a drive-through system. They would say thank you to us, and it was like, thank you. You know what I mean? Like, you guys are the ones who are out there, like, really doing things. Like, we're happy to help.
So help us understand your main business. Mm-hmm. What does 71 Visuals do?
So we work with our clients to translate their brand to the environment, right? So that can happen a few different ways. We do work with a lot of retail clients, either outfitting their stores from, inception up, like when they're first building it out, or obviously from a retail standpoint, they'll roll out seasonal graphics. So we do a lot of work that way. We do work in the event space. We do work in a lot of university and school athletic programs too. And then also we work in, more towards what we have our mutual line of work in the corporate space. So we'll work with our clients to either take an existing space they have, or a lot of times it's a new build out, and take their brand and what does that mean in their space. In today's world, everybody is looking to really make the office environment an engaging, dynamic place that's reflective of the employees and of the brand. I think the Googles, if we all heard of the world, sort of set this standard. And now everyone's been following that. And I think it does. It makes a better place to work. We spend more time there than anywhere else. So I think the more fun the environment can be and the more reflective it is of the people in it, the more the employees are engaged. So we try to work with our clients to do that. Really look at their space, understand how they use the space, so we can maximize that experience for the people in it. Is it client facing? Is it employee facing? What does that mean? Who are they? And then we do design, production, and installation. So a lot of times we'll be involved with an architect, layer our designs into an architect's, and then see that job through production and install. And we also work with clients when we don't design. So we work with some architects or design firms that have this ability in-house, and they may be the ones designing it, and then we're just executing on their
and for the person who it might be their first time doing an office space, right, or a design or a lease. Can you help us understand, is that in the practicality of a 5,000 square foot law firm or a 5,000 square foot advertising firm? What are those things where 71 Visuals comes in to help with?
So it'll be as simple things that you need, right? So you've all been in an office with glass wall systems or glass offices. There is what we call distraction film on glass, which basically is like that. It could be as simple as a repeating shape. We encourage our clients to do something usually a little more fun if we can, but basically it's a distraction so you don't walk into the glass, because if the glass doesn't have any film on it, you could, and I've had clients call me when this happens, mistake it and walk into it. And that's for COVID.
It happened to my son last week.
Did it? In the house?
He walked right into some glass.
I'm actually, how embarrassing is I was on a site once before anything was on the glass, and I almost walked into the door. Like I stopped myself literally right before I walked out. I'm like, so this is why I had the glass. ADA compliant signs, so room signage, bathroom signage. So all those things that every office has, we produce. On a floor plan like that, we would help a client understand what do they need for code, versus what could be additional signs that you may or may not need. Things like a logo behind a reception desk, right? Everybody has that. We do that. We try to bring in interesting materials. And then we'll do custom wall coverings and spaces, acoustical solutions for conference rooms or, open areas, because now that everyone loves hard surfaces.
Sure.
It can be rough with the echo, on wood floors and concrete floors. So all of those are solutions we offer and work with the clients to do.
So you talk about solutions, and now we move into, getting back to work, whether that's in a few weeks or that's a few months from now. The topic du jour is, how do I create an environment that is safe, where I can welcome, where I can encourage my team, my employees, my partners to come back to work. And I imagine that you have some, we'll call some workplace solutions that you are either thinking about or helping people with already. And it would be really helpful to hear from you some answers, so that when I get the question of, Gregg, I'm going back to work, what do I need to have in place? I went to the supermarket and I see I can only walk up one row and down another row. Like, I'm going to be in a small environment with my staff. So could you help us understand what some of those solutions are, so that we can think about the practical application of that as we get back to work?
Yeah, I think obviously that is definitely a topic on everyone's minds. I think everyone at the same time is itching to get back to, their normal quote unquote schedule and routine. But at the same time, there's anxiety around a lot of people and what that means and how we're going to interact. So, as a business owner, we think about that for our own staff, and it's overwhelming. It's so much to think about. Like, these last few weeks have been overwhelming, and trying to position me back is overwhelming. So what we're trying to do for our clients is make it as turnkey as possible for them, and sort of as comprehensive of a program we can offer, so that it's, they don't have to think about it too much. Like, we're offering them kind of what they need, in our eyes, what we need. And we've been keeping track ourselves of trends and reading all the white papers too, and, trying to understand the CDC guidelines and all those things that are not always so easy and constantly changing also. And try to, cull all of that for our clients, so that we can say, listen, this is what's out there and this is what you need based on what we're seeing. So we're putting together a full signage package, and just understanding, which I think to our advantage, we do this in our normal role in trying to understand space usage and how our clients use space when we normally come in and do branding. So we're just taking that same point of view and figuring out how are your clients using this space differently now? And to your point with the supermarket, how are you navigating it? And are we going to create one path of navigation through the office? How do we teach these habits now? So, it could be floor graphics, indicating navigating that space in a particular way so that you don't have overlap. It could be floor graphics just saying, remember to maintain social distance, right? So like, if I'm in the pantry and you're in the pantry, we have to remember we're supposed to be 6 feet apart. What we call healthy habit signage, just things to reinforce hand washing, sanitizing, wearing of masks when you're in the space, all these just habits that we're starting to get used to, but need to be reminded of in this, new environment. We're doing occupancy signs for conference rooms, right? So what used to be a 10-person conference room or an 8-person conference room is now going to be, maybe it's 4 people, right? And just the ability to change that and socialize your clients, your employees to do that. We've done things like cleaning schedules, right? Because now it's going to be everyone's responsibility to some extent to clean throughout the day, regardless of if you have a cleaning crew or not. So all kinds of those, how are people interacting with the space and what kind of messaging will help them stay on top of it. We're doing partitions for desks, all sorts of freestanding. The idea is that whatever your desk configuration is currently, whatever furniture dealer, you're using, whatever furniture manufacturer, this will work. I don't have to drill into my desk. It'll function. It is temporary. We don't know how long that is, but something that can be placed and then removed when the time comes without damaging the furniture. And these are all about just giving everybody a little protection. So they're like, very similar to what everyone's been seeing probably in supermarkets as far as like plexi panels. We're taking it a step further and customizing them if the client chooses to, and have a little library for them with, some gradients. They can put logos, just to kind of, bring a little personality into the space. It's not just a sea of plexi. And then we're also doing a 2.0 version, if you will, of our shields. So we sort of took what was a medicinal shield for the frontline workers and kind of upgraded the headgear, upgraded the shape, kind of cut down the shape so that it's not as intrusive and a little more user-friendly. So that's just another layer for people to use in the office. We've seen some interest in people just purchasing them to commute, as they're starting to think of commuting back and forth and what that means and what kind of protection they may want. And then it would just be added protection over your mask. So.
And if I'm an office manager, I'm a business owner, and I'm thinking about this, do I reach out to my architect? Do I reach out to 71 Visuals directly? Who helps in the space planning and thinking about how my business is going to flow? Is that something that you can handle with a client who might or a tenant who's in space?
Yeah, we definitely, and we're equipped, and we already are looking at our clients' floor plans and helping them understand what they need and how much they need, right? So like if you're going to create like a navigation flow, well, how many graphics do I need? And every office is different based on the setup and the size. So we're working with them, which is completely, if you have an existing office and you don't have an architectural relationship at the moment, like we can help our clients that way. We're also working with architects on, either newer builds or a lot for landlords and developers, trying to work with an architect to understand how they're going to flow through the building. That's probably an extra layer of complication just in terms of egress and entry and elevator usage. And so, as architects get involved with some recommendations there, we're working with them to support it on the messaging side.
Well, that'd be interesting to hear from you because, yes, one hurdle is transportation, right? Getting to work. Then the next hurdle is getting into the elevators. So I'd love to hear what's happening on the signage front from an elevator perspective.
So you're going to probably see a lot of the same healthy habits, a lot of like social distancing. And, when I'm approaching the desk, like a guard desk, like let's say I'm coming to visit your building, you're going to see floor graphics like you would in a supermarket now. I think the good thing about what the supermarkets and grocery stores are doing is they're kind of socializing this already. So when people come back, to some extent, they're going to be used to this, sort of system of lining up. So you'll see those. I think you'll see plexi in front of the guards at the, or security at the desk to give them some protection. I think depending on the building size, you're going to see elevators, some allocated to the higher floors, some allocated to the lower floors. There's going to be max occupancy in an elevator. So I think everyone needs to be prepared for some lines. I know some landlords, a few I've been on calls with, they're trying to take a pulse from their tenants too, to understand how, like, when do you think you're reopening? Are you open to kind of staggering the times? Like, I think they're trying to be as proactive as possible to sort of make that experience as easy as possible, understanding that, their tenants have a right to bring everybody back when they want and really have them come in whenever they want them to. But I think it's really a joint effort between everybody to try to make this as seamless as possible. I mean, we've all been coming into buildings at the same time at 9 a.m., packed elevators and lines and what that means. So we're trying to navigate it. A lot of egress entry, like if your lobby's big enough, for some landlords, we're literally drawing a line in the sand. It's like, this way is entry into the elevator bank, this way is out. They're lucky enough to have 2 entry points into the lobby. One is designated entry, one is designated exit, just to try to keep the traffic flow.
Wow.
As possible.
So much to think about.
It is so much to think about. But, the good thing is everyone's kind of in the same boat. So the same anxieties one person's having, another person's trying to do the exact same thing. And I think some of it is we're going to learn as we go, too. Like, we're going to do some things and we're going to have to tweak it because you can't anticipate every single scenario right now.
Well, as I was preparing for our interview, I was looking through the lens of visuals and didn't really think maybe took for granted or didn't necessarily notice all of the visuals that exist.
Yeah, like all the reminders.
Yeah, in my daily life, it's kind of one of those things where when you hear something for the first time, then you hear it again, right? Once you learn about it. So I was definitely a heightened sense of awareness to it, just in my trying to go food shopping. But it was really fascinating to see how integral a role branding, visual branding, signage plays in your daily life.
It does. And I mean, thinking about like coming into the lobbies in the building, we also try to make it brand oriented, right? So it's not just this generic sign, and also warmer. Like, I think we've talked a lot with our clients about this is also welcoming back, whether you're a landlord and you're welcoming your tenants back to the building, or you are just, business owner and you're welcoming them back to the office. We don't want everything to feel so clinical. Like, the messaging is obviously important, but we want it to feel like, welcome back. We're creating a safe environment for you. This is all for you. And just not have it feel so, don't forget to wash your hands because it's so clinical and,
Right, medicinal and right, stale, right. Well, Jen, thank you so much for sharing your insight there. So as listeners and viewers would know, no episode of GreggC TV and Conversations with Cohen would be complete without some mention of food. Now, as I understand, Jen, you live in New York City, is that right?
I do. I live on the Upper East Side.
So I'm sure you're a lover of eating out, and right now, unfortunately, that isn't the case. So maybe you're taking out every once in a while. Is there a favorite place that you like to take out from that's heavy on the rotation at the moment that you could share with us?
There's a few. I tell you, rather than a favorite spot, although I do have favorite spots in the neighborhood, I love that you can now order from places that like you can normally not get a reservation to. Like, you can order from Carbone downtown. They'll deliver. We ordered Red Farm the other night from the Upper West Side, which is amazing. We even got Lucali's Pizza. They actually are accepting delivery takeouts. So we called, we got through, and we were like, oh my God, this is amazing. So we drove to Brooklyn and got the pizza.
Wow.
So that part of the experience has been great because you're actually getting access. I mean, Lucali's, I don't know if you ever went there, but the line is forever. You can never get in. So, it's like little things like that it's making it a little more fun. I mean, I miss going out to eat. Like, I just miss that experience of getting out. So I'm hoping that for all those restaurants that everyone kind of embraces, going back.
So then the question would be, what is the first place you are going to go?
That's a good question.
Eat out.
I think J.G. Meilan's, because they're not open, or even so, like taking out a burger or fries is not the same.
No.
It might be J.G. Meilan's might be the first spot I actually go
to. Takeout fries do not travel well.
No, they don't. It's just not. That's one thing that's not the same when you're finding it.
Well,
being in Westchester.
Yeah. I have discovered A&S Sala Maria. I'm a big fan of all things Italian food. So A&S is like a pork store, like an old school pork store that's got like 6 or 7 locations, and they only do pickup, right? And I've been going for lunch. I've had it like 3 times now. It's on a nice Italian semolina roll, chicken cutlet, fresh mozzarella, roasted red peppers, and broccoli rabe.
Oh, that sounds delicious.
And I'm going to try the rice balls next week.
You're spacing it out. You're pacing. You can't.
Yeah, absolutely. Got to make it last. Well, Jen, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate the insight that you've shared for us about visual branding and signage and getting back to the office space. And also really want to thank you and the team there at 71 Visuals for what you folks are doing to help in the fight with coronavirus and keeping us all healthy. I'm going to make sure to put your contact details and 71 Visuals details and their website in the show notes. And for everyone listening and subscribing, if you like what you've heard, don't forget to hit the subscribe button below. And we'll see you next time on Conversations with Cohen. Bye-bye for now.